ABC 10 News at 5 starts right now.
From restaurants to bars, local businesses are adapting to looser restrictions under the orange tier. The change is in place as they welcome back more customers. And demand for the COVID-19 vaccine is still outpacing supply. We explain the two changes that could free up hundreds of thousands of doses.
Plus, the new California law that could make it harder for homeowners to get insurance coverage if they live in a high fire zone.
ABC 10 News at 5 starts now.
Feels good to be open again, busy and making money.
It started early this morning, the rush to expand indoor dining for breakfast crowds. Good evening. I'm Steve Atkinson.
And I'm Lindsay Pena. Now restaurants are focused on dinner, and tonight bars are preparing for a whole new set of rules under the orange tier. They'll be allowed to stay open later without serving food, and this shift is going to bring a lot more people back to work. Although San Diego County restaurants, breweries, wineries, and bars that serve food have been open in limited capacity, moving into the orange tier changes things in a big way. Now, capacity limits go up to between 25 and 50%. Indoor operations can resume, and bars can reopen without serving food.
Being able to get everybody back to work. We've got almost 100 team members that a lot of them have been sidelined over the last year or so.
Mike Hess of Mike Hess Brewing says it's a game changer in many ways. For them, manufacturing can start to get back to normal.
A big part of our brewery is making beer, putting it into kegs and sending it out to restaurants and bars. And with those all being closed or at very limited capacity, there hasn't been the demand there for those kegs.
There are still capacity limits across the board, and bars can only open outdoors for now. But it's the light at the end of a long tunnel for an industry more than ready to welcome customers back.
They just have that comfort level that they'll go out. So we're going to be busier than we have been, I'm sure, especially, and the timing couldn't be better as we roll into spring break and get ready to gear up for summer.
Again, this move means the 10 p.m. curfew on restaurants, bars, and breweries is lifted, and businesses can set their own closing times. When we move into the yellow tier, bars will be allowed to reopen indoors, but again, this is only for bars that serve food. If they do, they follow the restaurant guidelines. And many of those restaurants are allowing more people to dine inside today as capacity restrictions are loosened. We visited a few popular spots along Escondido's Grand Avenue. They say even though indoor dining is open, many people are preferring to sit outside, especially with the weather so perfect. Either way, restaurant owners are glad to be closer to fully open.
We'll just be so happy to have open arms and open doors and all the seating we possibly can.
We have great customers and they really got us through this.
Because outdoor dining has been a big hit, Escondido is considering plans to allow for more outdoor options even when the pandemic is finally over. In addition to increased capacity for restaurants, here's a look at what else changes under the orange tier. Places of worship, movie theaters, museums, zoos, and aquariums can open at 50% capacity. Outdoor stadiums can allow 33% capacity, theme parks 25% capacity, and there are no capacity limits for retail stores.
And here are our latest numbers on coronavirus in San Diego County. 328 new cases were reported today. That brings our total to more than 272,000. There were also 3 new deaths, bringing that total to 3,588. Several people were able to get their first dose of the vaccine today without needing an appointment. We spotted people lined up outside a vaccination site in Lemon Grove. Now, due to a problem with making appointments on the MyTurn website, several locations had doses that would go bad if they didn't get them out. So they posted on social media that people could just show up at the sites in Lemon Grove, El Cajon, and Viejas Arena. Those doses were only available through 4 o'clock this afternoon. And millions of Americans are getting immunized every day, but pharmacy groups say that there are still simple ways we could vastly improve our vaccine supply. Our ABC 10 News anchor Derek Stahl is going in depth on 2 changes that could free up hundreds of thousands of doses.
You may have heard that back in December, pharmacists across the country noticed vials of the Pfizer vaccine were overfilled. Every 5-dose vial had enough vaccine for 1 extra dose, sometimes 2, if they had the right equipment to extract it.
We treat this as liquid gold, so we do not waste any drops.
Same story with the Moderna vials. Their 10-dose vials often had enough for 2 extra doses. The issue was having the right syringe for the job. But all these months later, vaccinators say the federal government still isn't consistently sending them the right syringes, leaving some hospitals scrambling to buy them for themselves and forcing others to let bonus doses go to waste. Michael Ganio is with the American Society of Health System Pharmacists.
It's just easier to measure. It's more accurate to measure using a smaller device when possible.
To get as many doses as possible, pharmacists want a small syringe with an extra feature.
This is a normal syringe. There is a large amount of leftover liquid compared to this syringe where there's just a tiny bubble on the top.
The ideal option is one with a narrower plunger that leaves less space for leftover vaccine to get trapped, what's called a 1 ml low dead volume syringe. But they've been in short supply. In January, President Joe Biden invoked the Defense Production Act to ramp up production. Since then, the federal government has been shipping Pfizer kits with the 1 ml syringes, but the Moderna kits haven't changed. They still include a standard 3 ml syringe without the low dead volume feature.
There's not enough of all of one device to go around for everyone right now.
But Ganio says one policy change could make a huge difference overnight, allowing pharmacists to combine leftover vaccine from multiple vials into one dose, a technique called pooling.
Under specific conditions, we think it's possible to combine that half dose with a half dose from another vial. And, you can increase the number of patients that you're immunizing by about 10%.
An extra 10% would make about 300,000 more doses available per day. But the FDA has resisted calls to allow pooling, says Dr. Christian Ramers of Family Health Centers of San Diego.
That brings in sort of an infection control risk. These vaccines are preservative-free. So a fungus or a bacteria or something could get in there, and you don't want to be mixing and have the possibility of contamination.
Pharmacy groups say pooling has been done for years with other vaccines and argue it can be done safely with simple precautions. Between that and using the right syringes, experts say we could speed up vaccination efforts even more, allowing the U.S. to share more doses with countries around the world. Derek Stahl, ABC 10 News.
And there is a growing battle over whether the government or private businesses can require people to prove that they have been vaccinated in order to receive services. Well, today the White House said it will not mandate a so-called vaccine passport, but won't tell businesses they can't. Several universities say that they will require vaccination for students to return to campus. Legal expert Dan Abrams says there is a precedent.
There's a Supreme Court decision with regard to smallpox, which said yes, even states can require it. So there's no doubt that private businesses are allowed to say, we're going to demand this.
Some governors are signing orders to ban state and private businesses from requiring vaccine passports. And you can keep up with any new developments surrounding the pandemic by downloading our free mobile app. Just go to the App Store and search 10 News.
A new California law might make it easier for insurance companies to drop coverage in high fire areas. ABC 10 News reporter Jennifer De La Cruz explains what you can do to keep your home and property insured.
If you live in a high fire zone, 100 feet of defensible space is nothing new. But as of this year, that's still not enough. On January 1st, 2021, the California Public Resources Code was updated, now requiring an ember-resistant zone. That means adding 5 feet of space between homes and any materials that can burn.
Beautiful box hedges, the bougainvilleas, birds of paradise, anything that's combustible. So mulch, bark.
Alpine Fire Marshal Jason McBroom says not only does the space keep your home safe, but it can also keep you from losing your insurance.
When the insurance agents start coming out and doing site inspections of your home and they see combustible material within this first 5 feet, they're going to immediately start denying.
McBroom says the code applies to existing homes designated in very high fire severity zones. That includes places like Alpine, Lakeside, and Bonita. Tony Skidmore owns Hidden Haven Farms in Alpine and was hit hard by the Valley Fire in 2020. He says our interview was the first he's heard of this new law.
I think it's a good idea, but it's just a matter of getting it communicated properly. I was completely unaware of this.
But as a wildfire survivor, he knows you can never be too prepared.
Whenever the Santa Anas would come up, it makes us really nervous, more nervous than before. Just because you clear the perimeter, it doesn't keep the embers from flying over and hitting the interior.
McBroom says our fuel moisture is lower than it should be, so he's expecting a stronger than normal fire season this year. So that extra 5 feet of space could be crucial.
Doing one or two things now could be the difference between you coming home to your home standing after a wildland fire or not.
Jennifer Dela Cruz, ABC 10 News.
The Alpine Fire Protection District says they are working to educate residents on the new law. If homeowners don't comply, they could face a fine of more than $1,000. Exactly 3 months after her disappearance, the search effort for Chula Vista mother Maya Miliete is getting some fundraising help. 2 locations of El Pollo Grill in Chula Vista are donating 30% of their earnings tonight to help find the missing mom. The family told us on Monday that Maya had filed for divorce the day she went missing. That was back on January 7th. Husband Larry Miliete admits the two had a rocky marriage, but maintains his innocence. Tonight's fundraiser will be at the Bonita and Otay Ranch El Pollo Grill locations until 8 p.m.
Tiger Woods was going nearly 90 miles an hour when he crashed back in February. Investigators released their findings on that accident today. And as ABC's Marcy Gonzalez reports, they say that Woods never even attempted to hit the brake.
Investigators say Tiger Woods was speeding when he crashed this SUV in Southern California in February, going as fast as 87 miles an hour in a 45-mile-per-hour zone. Investigators finding that, along with an inability to navigate a curve in the road, caused the accident that left the golf superstar badly injured.
The impact of the vehicle when it hit the tree caused the vehicle to go airborne and do a somewhat pirouette, landing on its side.
The Los Angeles County Sheriff says the vehicle's data recorder shows that Woods never hit the brakes, instead kept his foot on the accelerator the entire time. Investigators believe it was just a panicked mistake. They also say they did not do a blood test to check Woods' sobriety because there was no evidence of impairment.
There was no odor of alcohol. There were no open containers in the vehicle. And there were no narcotics or any evidence of medication.
Woods is now home from the hospital where he underwent surgeries for serious injuries to his right leg, ankle, and foot, tweeting that he is focused on his recovery, also thanking first responders and separately tweeting about missing the Masters tournament this week.
I think it's kind of starting to set in. He's bummed he's not here playing practice rounds with us, and we hate it too.
He's always missed when he doesn't play in these big events, so I'm sure he's going to put everything he has into trying to be ready to play here next year.
And despite the determination that Woods was speeding, the sheriff says no citations were issued because there were no witnesses and Woods didn't remember the crash. The sheriff maintains Woods was not given preferential treatment. Marcy Gonzalez, ABC News, Los Angeles.